Hey guys, it's been a really long time actually since I've been on here. But since then, live in the Jeep here, by the way. Sorry guys. Since then, I've actually learned a lot, and a lot has happened with that thing right there. Thanks for watching. So we came home from Moab. Just a long story short, on our way home from Moab, guys. We got diverted to 89 because on our way 6 was closed to come home. So I jumped on 89 and we were just driving down 89, and I was going about, the speed limits changed so much through that area, but I think I was going about 65. And that's kind of why I jumped on here to talk about it today, because some of you may have not had the problem and some of you may have. So this is just me hoping that it might help somebody out there somewhere if you guys are experiencing the same situation. And with these Jeeps right here, it can be anything. But this is what ended up being my problem. So my Jeep brakes, not only did my ABS light go off, but my brakes actually, I can't say they completely locked up per se, but the brakes got applied and I didn't have my foot on the brake. Going 65 miles an hour. It was pretty scary. Not to mention it kind of pushed me in the other lane because I was on a 2-lane highway. But not to mention I lost power by a lot, like a lot. I was able to kind of steer off the road after the whole thing had happened, and thank goodness nobody was coming the opposite direction. So that's what I'm here to talk about now, and kind of what we think is going on with the Jeep. Thanks for watching, whoever you are. A little bit of Wrangler talk. That's a 2012. CrushCon is a 2012. And just before, a while back, I actually had, we put in a new PSC. Not the full hydro, just partial. Went, got my box ported. Amazing, did a great job. But that kind of leads me to this next thing. We took, in order to get it ported, you all know, you most likely just, we took it out. We took the box out and we had someone do it. But what I didn't know is that when you take your steering box out of your vehicle, because we do everything on our own to make it more affordable and put it back in, I get back in after we put the steering box back in, and I'm like, husband and I both looked at it like, it's making a really weird noise when you turn the steering wheel. It's kind of like a plasticky grind noise. And I kind of messaged all my friends, and they were like, couldn't be related. One great person, one great friend of mine, Crystal, what did you do? I have no idea. I don't know what I did. He asked if I took the steering box out, and I said, well, yeah, I went and got the box ported. Well, long story short, he asked me if I tied my steering wheel straight. And I'm like, what do you mean? There's this cheap little piece behind there, and it's called a clock spring. And if you don't tie your steering wheel straight, that thing can break. They're pretty cheaply made. It was a big fat oops on my part. Rookie mistake. But I learned a lesson, a $385 lesson, which sucked. Put it back in. Everything's great. Everything is working. When your clock spring breaks, I was actually driving down the road. The only reason I knew something was broken is because I tried to use my horn. I tried to use all the steering wheel controls, and I just had nothing. So it's the only reason we knew something was up. After that happened, I had brought it back. Everything's fine. Everything's great. And this leads me back to coming back home from 89. Now that my brakes have applied themselves going 65 miles an hour, and on top of that, losing power and pushing me into the other lane, and I was able to get off to the side of the road, thank goodness, safely. We get it home, and I find out that we hook it up to the coats, and it says some kind of sensor. And I'm like, okay, whatever, that's easy, no problem. So bring it in there to my brother-in-law shop, and he says, okay, let's do some digging. Well, at first we thought it was the dynamic sensor, and that dynamic sensor is actually found underneath the middle console of that Jeep. So in order to change the middle console, that means taking out both seats, which is 8 bolts, not too big of a deal, and ripping apart the middle console. It's found on the either, I think, the driver's side or the passenger side, and it's just this little piece. And that dynamic sensor tells your vehicle a ton of things, a ton of stuff. And that's what we thought it was, because it can cause that. It's a big cause of that, the dynamic sensor. So I thought for sure, I was like, I'm going to go get the part, this, that, the other. We did some more digging and found out that, lo and behold, after you put your clock spring in, guys, you have to initialize it. Lovely computer stuff with these. So we initialized the clock spring, and I haven't had a problem since. I am so excited. I know this is a long drawn out video, and I'm sorry to get to that very point, but you guys, to go through all that trouble and to find out that it's initialized, you just have to initialize that with a very expensive scanner, which I didn't have. But so you know, the dynamic sensor, it can still be the problem, but it wasn't with me. The dynamic sensor actually also needs to be initialized once it's reinstalled and relearned. I do have a ProCal, which helps me out a ton with a lot of stuff, but some of the stuff I can't use that for. So next thing I kind of wanted to talk about today was my Pitman arm situation. I did a very budget-friendly lift on that. It's a 3.5-inch lift with 38-inch Patagonia tires. You can probably tell by looking at it that the steering is, that steering is 1-ton steering. It is actually from Barnes 4-wheel drive. Well, we put the steering on, and I still had my drop Pitman arm, and at the time I didn't have the PSC. I went around the Rubicon, and my steering, it was really hard. The steering was crazy hard. But I started having issues on the road too. And finally, we looked into it a little bit, and I went back to Northridge for the win, guys. He looked at me, AJ was like, Crystal, you need to get rid of that Pitman arm. You need to not have a drop Pitman arm up there. And I thought, well, that's what came with the lift. So that's everybody's go-to. You put the lift on as it tells you. You follow the instructions, right? Okay, great. I did what I was supposed to do. Well, unfortunately, and fortunately for AJ over at Northridge 4x4, he did tell me, he says, Crystal, what you really should do is do a flip kit. And so that's what I did. So I had to contact Barnes 4-wheel drive, guys. In fact, I'll show you that in just a second. But they have offset tie rods. And so you can actually flip it and put it at the top. You have to re-sleeve the knuckle for the one side and then put, so you can, and drill it out, the knuckle out, so you can put the bolt through so it fits. But it's crazy because once I did the flip kit, I had my old Pitman arm. So I threw my Pitman arm on and voila, it was fixed. So yeah, even though I had my drop Pitman arm, guys, and I thought I was doing the right thing, those drop Pitman arms, what I was told is those drop Pitman arms that come with those lifts, you guys, are not, that the stock Pitman arms that are already on it are already a big drop from the get-go. So every time you turn that with aftermarket, more of a drop Pitman arm, it probably doesn't make any sense. But if you've got a Pitman arm that drops even further, you've got more stress on that steering box. And it heats up, causes problems, and it causes your box to act up and essentially go bad. And it's an expensive part. So once I flipped it and we switched all that up, I have not had any issues since then. So this is just me jumping on and telling you about my experiences and what I needed to do to hopefully make that thing run better. So let me show you guys really quick what I'm talking about. I'm sorry you guys, I'm using my laptop to do this, so give me just a second. So this is what I'm talking about right here. Up here. And then I think, no, it wasn't that side. It was actually over here. Excuse me, guys. So I'm covering the camera. That's sweet. Sorry. Right here is where you need to re-drill it. Or no, not there. No, I am actually on the wrong side. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. Forgive me. It's this one. So you actually have to re-drill this up here. This piece right here in order for this to go through, because you have to re-sleeve them or they don't fit. But these offset tie rod ends, I couldn't get the offset tie rod ends from like Midnight 4x4 because they're exclusive to Barnes 4-wheel drive. So yeah, this is my 110 steering, and I have put it through the ringer. They've been awesome. They've been great. But again, this is me jumping on here. There's my stock Pittman arm right there. If I can show it to you all. Oh, where'd it go? I can't be in the right spot. Come on. So this is it right here. Sorry. So the Pittman arm, that is the stock Pittman arm right there. And the drop Pittman arm was just super drop Pittman arm. So I haven't, once again, had any more problems. The clock spring and the dynamic sensor, I'll show you really quickly. The Jeep is open, so you can see it. Hey, Ost. So the clock spring, guys, is actually located behind the steering wheel, right here. This little plastic you have to yank this whole steering wheel apart. There's some 10mm bolts, I think. There's a Torx 20, and then you pull this whole puppy off. You gotta take the whole thing apart to actually get the clock spring out, and it's a mess. So just whatever you could do, you guys, if you do port your box or take your steering box out for whatever reason, tie this puppy to the seat or tie it to the floor, tie it somewhere so you don't have that issue. The dynamic sensor, sorry guys, my Jeep's a wreck. The dynamic sensor is actually under this in the back seat. So you have to pull out this whole situation in order to get into the floor to get to the dynamic sensor. And that's where you change that. But remember, you need to relearn those or your Jeep will act up, and not just in a very little way, in a very large way. No one wants their brakes going off on the highway, going 65 or 70, and nobody wants to lose power as it happens. So I don't know what it would have happened if I didn't have my PSC, because it was difficult when you have one side of the Jeep brakes lock up. It's pretty scary. So I don't wish it on anybody. So you guys, just thank you all for watching. I hope this was helpful. Again, I just want to make sure for sure you guys realize this is what happened to me. That doesn't mean that if you guys got something going on with your Jeep, that's what's going on. But I did want to jump on here and just hopefully help out one or two people, if that's all it is. So we'll talk to you guys later. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our channel if you like it. If you find these things helpful, please leave me a comment. Please be kind with your comments. If you don't like it, that's just fine too. But I hope this was helpful in one way or another. You guys have a great day. Happy trails. And one last thing, please don't forget to hit that notification bell so you guys can get our notifications. Talk to you later. Peace out, guys, and happy trails with these darn Jeeps, right? We love them anyways. It's a love-hate. Bye, guys.